Jay. Across the street, they hang out in an apartment complex, and then they come back again. I'll talk about the lack of coordination in my neighborhood, Hawthorne. So for those of you that know Hawthorne, there's one road in, there's one road back. Right in front of me is a nice little park. I don't know, maybe 2 acres. Every 4 or 5 weeks, the guys are in the big truck. They got the lawnmower on the back. They come down Kingston, they cut the grass, and they leave. There could be bodies in the street. There could be an open-air drug market. There could be all kinds of zoning violations, and nobody sees anything. So that's not to say we want to make this, the guys cutting grass, they're not going to be code enforcement, and they're not, but we need to do a better job of communication and coordination. Culture of customer service.
Next question, dealing with the environment. What do you see as the most important environmental issue facing Baltimore County? And do you feel it's being adequately addressed at this time? If not, what would you do to correct it?
So that's something else I think that we're going to have to look more closely at. I think clearly, at least we've been reminded this summer that runoff is probably the most critical thing from an environmental standard. Obviously, we also had the infrastructure issues of pumping stations and sewage overflowing directly into the waterways, so there needs to be a better coordination between the county and the state. But I think runoff is probably the most important thing. But what I will say is that whatever short-term or long-term corrective action plans we need to, and we also need to coordinate with the state and the feds regarding best practices. But whatever we do needs to be open and transparent. We need to hear from all of the stakeholders, and we can't go through the horror show that occurred a couple of years ago where the Department of Environmental Protection in Baltimore County targeted small little marinas around the county. That can't be the solution.
Okay, with the last minute that's left in your 2 minutes, would you address this issue? Do you believe the current department charged with protecting our environment is effectively fulfilling its mission and charge, and why?
I don't know. That's something that we're going to have to look at. I can tell you that one thing I should say is, as county executive, with this department and every department, we're going to bring in the process improvement folks. We're going to audit contracts, each department. We're going to go through each department in a business-like, methodical way. We're going to audit what is it that we do, why do we do it, and how can we do it more efficiently, effectively, and cost-effectively than we currently do. I mean, the stories are amazing. We're buying carbon paper by the truckload in Baltimore County. We have couriers delivering paper. It's amazing. But that's one of the departments we'll have to look at.
Switching gears a little bit, I attended your endorsement announcement earlier, and if I understood you correctly, you said that you would provide more funding for public safety in the budget, but county officials, including members of the county council, have said that the budget is stretched to the limit as it is. How do you plan to provide that funding, and if you would cut, where would you cut?
So we need a process for a long-term 10-year plan in Baltimore County. So in Baltimore County, I've mentioned, we have failed to invest in infrastructure. Worse than that, we have no long-term plan in Baltimore County. There's no multi-year budget. It's an annual budget, an annual fight for discretionary funds. We go about our business and then we do it again. There is no long-term plan. So we're going to develop a process to look and identify short-term needs and short-term solutions, but create a long-term plan. So how we're going to do that is we're going to go around the county, council district by council district, working with the members of the county council, the state legislature, and all of those interested parties, whether it's the community association, PTA, rec council, volunteer fire company. We're going to create the laundry list. We're going to identify each and every one of the unmet needs in that community, and each community is different. Step 2, we're going to quantify, we're going to put a price tag on those needs. And thirdly, most importantly, working in an open, transparent, collaborative way. We're going to develop that long-term plan, that 10-year plan, and a multi-year budget. So as we prioritize those things, public safety and health have to be at the top of the priority list. So it's a matter of prioritizing our state spending. The other thing is we have that tapped out budget that you look at. It's not that we haven't budgeted for all those employees, we just have not filled them.
Again, this comes from a number of citizens, including someone here tonight who has written up a question, and it relates to crime and gangs. So to just quickly put it together, what would be your approach to stopping violent gangs from establishing a presence and operating within Baltimore County?
So one of the things we need to do is eliminate the sanctuary county status in Baltimore County, and we need to allow, and I will point out that my opponent supports continuing the sanctuary county status, but it makes no sense to have a law enforcement agency, albeit federal, out there, and the Baltimore County Police Department are not able to coordinate with them. So that's one of the things we're going to do. The other thing we need to do is there needs to be more collaboration to the extent that is possible with Baltimore City on some of these criminal justice issues. You know, as an example, Governor Hogan, frustrated with increasing crime in Baltimore and the Baltimore metropolitan area, not too long ago put together a task force from multiple law enforcement organizations, including the Baltimore County Police, the Baltimore City Police, State Police, and some of the others. And that targeted effort by the governor and his task force have served, at last count, over 500 warrants that were formerly bad guys just going all. So I talked to a couple of homicide detectives in Baltimore County yesterday, last week. They indicated that they spend most of their time every day inside the limits of Baltimore City working on murder cases that occurred in Baltimore County. And they mentioned that it's difficult to work with the Baltimore City. So I have a great relationship with Mayor Pugh. I've collaborated with her in my current role. I collaborated with her to a lesser extent when I was a delegate and she was a member of the state senate. So whether it's that they have not wanted to coordinate or whether it's a resource issue on their part, I don't know. But I think it's going to need a coordinated effort, Baltimore County, Baltimore City, and the state and feds when it comes to gang activity in Baltimore County.
Thank you. As you know, the Essex Middle River Civic Council group of community associations. Most of the people here tonight are in one way or another connected to a community association. I'm particularly interested in knowing how you view community input through community associations and what role you think community associations should play in government.
So they will have a seat at my table. Again, at age 26, I led the Perry Hall Improvement Association for 8 years. Part of that time, I was a vice president and member of the Northeast Coordinating Council, which was an organization much like the Essex Middle River Civic Council. That's where I cut my teeth. That's where I got the urge to run for political office leader. I dealt with county bureaucrats and state bureaucrats on behalf of my community and got blown off, got ignored, got neglected. And then finally, miraculously, 12,000 votes later, I get elected, and the same bureaucrats that were blowing me off are now doing backflips trying to solve our problems. It was a sad indictment for government. So what we're going to do on multiple parts of county government, we are going to have community planners assigned to a geographic area. Economic development will have folks that are assigned to a geographic area so that there will be constant communication and collaboration between the Redmond administration and local community organizations around the county. And you have my personal cell phone number, so yeah.
as many of the people in this room know, zoning is typically a hot issue. Do you believe the county executive should play a role in the comprehensive zoning map process, that is the rezoning cycle?
I believe we should. Yeah, I believe that the county executive should have a seat at that table and participate, absolutely.
All right, this is, again, come up from a number of folks, including someone in the audience tonight. It's environment. And kind of two parts to this. As a representative of the state, how do you plan to advocate for the solution of the Conowingo Dam issue? And along with that, what about the runoff from other states into our streams?
So I don't know that the county executive will have a big seat at the table with Pennsylvania and New York and Governor Hogan, but it's a significant problem. I applaud Governor Hogan for drawing attention to the problem of the trash that flows from the Conowingo. I see Sam Weaver. I applaud the efforts of the Back River Restoration Committee and all the work that they do as a nonprofit group to fix the waterway. But, you know, for 12 years in Annapolis, I sat on the committee that handled environmental issues. I live on the water myself. I know how important a clean Chesapeake Bay is for us, for the entire region, really. But it's a significant issue, but other than being a strong advocate, I don't know that there's much that the county executive can do about Conowingo. If anybody's got ideas, I'm happy to hear them.
Pretty much running out of time, so there's another audience question.
We have several. Talks about what's your position on taking care of and building up the fire and police departments, considering the increase in population?
They're all understaffed. Not only are they understaffed, but there's no real effort to recruit. Now, I'm a business guy. I think like a business guy. I run a state agency. Whether it's running a state agency or running a business, there's never been anything more important in any organization that I have run than a continuous flow of high-quality, talented employees. The fire department, I haven't heard the number yet, the police department, all of the recruiting, now we're over 100 cops short. The recruiting effort is done by 3 police officers, and I'm told it's a $26,000 budget to recruit. Now, one of the problems is that if you check with the police officers in your community, the morale is at an all-time low. In Baltimore County, there's a culture of fear, intimidation, and retribution in just about every department in Baltimore County. So when you look at trying to recruit high-quality talent, and you've got a police officer or a fireman, you would normally think that they'd like to, introduce their kids to their department, or their friends, or other talented folks that does not happen to the way it should in Baltimore County. So we need to have a robust recruiting effort to hire more of these professionals, but more importantly, we need to raise the bar a little bit and attract high-quality folks. So in Baltimore County, we have not enough police officers. If you talk to the firemen, not only do we not have enough firemen, we don't have the resources and the reserve equipment that they need. In Baltimore County, if I go home tonight and I have chest pains, if I have chest pains tonight, if my wife calls 911, and that's the first question, will she actually call 911? If she calls 911, chances are the paramedic is going to jump into the ambulance, is going to pull out a map book, 2018. The stories are made, so we need to identify, we need to put a price tag on them, and we need to prioritize them, each and every department and each and every community, so we can gradually change Baltimore County for the better.
All right, this comes from the audience. and this is an interesting one. How would you respond to the state if they wanted to build a third Bay Bridge coming out of Baltimore County?
So that's a decision that would be made collectively in an open, transparent way by the citizenry of Baltimore County. My guess is we probably don't have a lot of interest in that. So my role will be to advocate for Baltimore County. I mentioned I do it now. If I have, we have an ongoing battle with the Department of Natural Resources about dredging Man o' War Shoal out in the middle of the Chesapeake Bay. I'm actively engaged in that, advocating for the citizens of Baltimore County, and I'll do that again as Baltimore County Executive.
All right, one more. This again comes from the audience. How do you plan to limit development outside of the urban?
Outside of the URDL, I don't think we make any changes regarding outside of the urban. As far as I'm concerned, there's not too many sacred cows in Baltimore County. I think the URDL line is one of them, so I am for preserving as much open space as we can.
Segue into 3-minute summary.
Yeah, my 3-minute summary, and again, I appreciate the opportunity to be here. I love Baltimore County. 1983, I was living in Perry Hall, and I bought my first boat from Bob Palmer down the street at Trade Winds. That began a long-time love affair with Eastern Baltimore County in an effort to try to promote the area. I came up with the idea and chaired the Chesapeake Country Music Festival to try to bring tourism to Eastern Baltimore County, which we will do as Baltimore County Executive. Last 2 weeks ago, my oldest granddaughter, Maddie, went to Perry Hall Middle School for the first time. That's the school that her mother went to, same school that I went to. She'll probably do better than I did. But I love this county, but when you look at the increasing crime, you look at deteriorating schools, you want to come to, if you're going to move from Fed Hill or Canton or whatever, unless there's a job or unless there's family bringing you to Baltimore County, you're not going to come here. If you've got kids in Anne Arundel County, we need to do better. We must do better, and under the Redmond administration, we will do better. I have talked a lot over the last year about our failure to invest in basic infrastructure. We failed to do the things that Baltimore County is supposed to do. My opponent, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking to him, but he's got a $2 billion vision of new initiatives for Baltimore County. It's the same investments that he and Governor O'Malley made when he voted for those 50 tax increases a number of years ago. I believe that before we spend any new dollars on new initiatives, we need to focus on the basics. We need to figure out what Baltimore County is supposed to do, educate our kids, protect our families, clean up our communities. We need to do these things first. We need to do it effectively, efficiently, and more importantly, cost effectively before we go spending billions of dollars on new initiatives. And then the last thing I'm going to say, Republicans don't get endorsed much, but I'm proud to say that we haven't made this public yet, but I have been endorsed by an organization called CASE. These are the folks that work in this is everybody in the school building except the teacher. This is the principal, the vice principal, administrators, secretaries, janitors, maintenance people. I've been endorsed by them. I have been endorsed by the sheriffs of Baltimore County. Last Thursday, I was endorsed by the Baltimore County firefighters. First time in the history of the county, they've endorsed a Republican. Monday night, I was endorsed by the cops, FOP, all three major public safety organizations have endorsed me. There's a reason for that. There is a reason person for that, and don't take my word for it. Talk to the guy that works at the landfill, talk to the electrical inspector, talk to your cop, your fireman, your school teacher, ask them what it's like to live and survive in Baltimore County. Lastly, and most importantly, I have enthusiastically our Governor Larry Hogan, and I can assure you I am a Larry Hogan Republican. I was a Larry Hogan Republican before there was a Larry Hogan for governor, and if you like Larry Hogan, I'm your guy. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
All right, if I could ask the candidates for the 6th and 7th district to come to the table, I'd appreciate it. Now, we'll see if we can get the name tags in the right place.